Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling. And man, I really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to spend some time with me on the video today. Really appreciate that. And guys, today we are going to theorize what the sport of bass fishing is going to look like 100 years from now. I think about this stuff a lot. I think that most people that love the sport and have an interest in seeing the future sustainability of the sport, we think about it a lot. And I've got what I consider some pretty accurate analysis on this. I'd be curious to get your guys' opinion on it. And to be honest with you, it doesn't look good. And I'm gonna explain why. And another, even though it may not look good, it's not too late. We have the choice of which road we go down as far as what the sport's gonna look like 100 years from now. So hopefully we'll take the right path, and maybe this video will sort of help point people in the right direction with that. Also, guys, just a quick reminder that Tackle Warehouse has just got a new stock of my Blaukat throwback jigs in. I think that, they landed last week, and I think that most of them, there's only like a half a dozen colors of each jig left in stock there. So if you guys would like to take advantage of this last shipment here, this past shipment, I'll put my Tackle Warehouse Blaukat throwback jig link in the description of the video. You guys can check that out. It's one of the few jigs on the market that's got the living rubber skirt here, guys. 6 colors, 3 different sizes, and it's going to be really good for October and November fishing. So link in the description there. I really appreciate that. Oh, okay, guys. A lot of you that have followed me on the channel, I talk about talk about topics like this a lot, as far as sustainability, conservation, the future of the sport. And one of the things that I really feel strong about is if you are a bass angler, everybody has a responsibility to pass it on better than the way we found it. If we don't, there's not going to be anything left for us to pass on. And one of the characteristics that I see in a lot of bass anglers that really, disturb me a little bit is so many bass anglers out there, I don't ever hear them talking about this stuff. It's like they're so focused on what's here and now for them and what they're doing and what they can do to catch more fish, is they just lose sight of the bigger picture on they're not going to be here forever. We got to have another generation to hand it off to. And this sport of bass fishing has been around for over 100 years. You can look back in some of the old magazines, like from the 1920s, and you can see people talking about bass fishing and holding pictures of bass up with like the old rudimentary, wooden plugs with metal lips on them. So, it survived 100 years since the beginning. But guys, I'm not so sure about it, man. I'm not so sure that if we're going to make it another 100 years and have the sport or have a playing field that will actually support fish. And that's what I want to talk about in the video here today. Now, first of all, there's 2 different elements to this. It's the element of the environmental impact that we're going to have, I'm going to talk about. And then there's the technology part of it. Now, it's a given, like I said, and this is sort of separate from it, that if we don't maintain a healthy environment, we're simply not going to have a playing field in order to bass fish on or hunt or anything like that. And the way it looks right now, guys, it's not looking good. We have unchecked development in this country. We have developers that basically have free reign to develop wherever they want to, whenever they want to. I talk about this a lot, about prime wildlife habitat getting ate up right and left. I know of 2 developers, guys, one in Joplin and one in Springfield here, that actually filled in like these beautiful 10-acre lakes, filled them in, that had been there for 100 years, filled them in, paved them over, and put not convenience store, but a grocery store on it. One in Joplin, one here. So we're having stuff like that all the time, as far as this is unchecked, rapid development. There's no reins on it, and there's no reins in the foreseeable future. And on top of that, we have an increasing number of people. We have population issues, as far as more people on the planet. More people mean they use more resources. More resources mean more and more natural places get cast by the wayside and developed. And along with the overdevelopment and the overpopulation part of it, you have pollution factors that are considered. It's all tied tightly together. And right now, the mentality of the United States is we have this pro-growth, no holds barred. It's like a pro-growth mentality, to the point where it's almost like a cancer a little bit. It's almost like there's such a strong pro-growth, make more, get bigger, build more, that it's like a cancer cell that spreads and just eats itself up, because eventually you can only grow so much before it starts impacting everything around you. So from that standpoint, when you talk about the overuse through human population, overdevelopment, and pollution issues tied into it, and how that affects our lakes and streams as far as just the simple water quality of it, you got some serious challenges that go with that. And we've talked about this before as far as the overdevelopment on the lakes, about how the aesthetic beauty of all of our lakes and rivers across the country are being eaten up through development. We all see it. So that's one element. But the other element I want to talk about is the technology element. Now here's one of the things that very few people take time to realize. Let's just take a look at the last 50 years as far as the technology advancements that we've seen in the sport, specifically electronic technology advancements. Now, can you imagine with with the live scope now, how you 2D sonar, 360, all that type of stuff? Can you imagine if you put another 100 years of this never-ending race to grow and have more and more technology, better technology? Can you imagine the technological, I don't know what the word to call it, but the technological destruction that is going to occur in the sport of bass fishing if this technology goes unchecked? Now, think about it for a little bit. Every sport out there that has sustained for 100 years, there's been basketball, there's been, track and field sports, there's been football. All these major sports have survived for 100 years with basically no changes. There's been better helmets for football players, and there's been better cleats and minor changes, as far as just the equipment goes. But there's been nothing. There's professional fishing or bass fishing in general, there's nothing that comes close to how the sport has an unchecked, it's completely unchecked when it comes to advancements. It's basically no holds barred out there. So if you put this current paradigm that we're in, where you have the powers that be, and the powers that be basically, guys, are the tournament organizations. The tournament organizations, they set the stage for a lot of the trends, and then you have the conservation departments that drag their feet on everything. I've talked about this before, guys. I don't have a lot of confidence in the conservation departments across this country when it comes to technology, because they are dragging their feet on this live scope deal. They're waiting for sampling and data and this and that. And it's just, it's going to be too late by the time that they get off the carpet and start doing something about this. But when you have government agencies like the conservation departments that drag their feet and are in denial of reality, and then you have tournament organizations that have a financial interest in perpetuating technology, and those advancements are unchecked, you just multiply that times 100 years and see the state of the environment that we have within the fishing industry, within the bass fishing industry. Now, just think about this a second. Let's think about two different elements here, guys. Think about your hometown. A lot of you guys that are, that have been around, if you're 40, 50, 60 years old, think back when you were in high school, 30, 40, 50 years ago when you're in high school, and remember what your hometown looked like, or your town or the city that you live in. And now look at the development that has encroached in that, as far as the suburban sprawl, urban sprawl. You get a 30-acre section of woods here that's bulldozed for a convenience store, 30-acre section here that's bulldozed down for a shopping center, 100-acre section here that's bulldozed for an apartment complex. You've seen it. Multiply that times 100 years and multiply it faster than what has occurred, because it's occurring now faster than it ever has. So you've got that element of it. Picture that in your mind, what that's going to look like. If you don't have the ability to envision that, 100 years from now, they're basically all of the natural wild places that we have in this country, with the exception of like national parks and some places like in New Mexico that, are, barren, that don't provide wildlife habitat. All of the prime key wildlife places are going to be developed. It's happening. I see it happening here in my hometown, Springfield, Missouri. It's happening. It expands outside of town, exponentially every single year. And there's nothing going to stop it with, since we have basically the fox guard, the hen house on that. Okay, then on top of that, think again about the technological advancements. I don't care if it's bass boats, if it's, rod and reels, tackle technology, electronic technology. We're paying over $100,000 on average for a bass boat in 2024. Back when I started fishing professionally in 1986, the same fully rigged, state-of-the-art, top-of-the-line bass boat was about $15,000. How much is a bass boat going to cost 100 years from now? If we went from $15,000 to $100,000 in just like a 30-year period, just on a bass boat, what's that going to look like? We have the ability right now that to scan and live imaging with forward-facing sonar 200 feet in front of the boat and see fish moving in real images and cast to those fish that are moving in real images. Put another 100 years of that technological advancement on that. And to be honest with you guys, I don't see it happening. I do not see us having I don't see bass fishing being around here in what we consider and how we perceive it 100 years from now. I hate to say that, but I don't. And the thing about that is the reason I don't see that is we don't have people in positions of power that give a crap or that have the vision or the foresight to do anything about it. And then once you do get somebody in the position that has some ability to do something about it, you have an angling public that is tremendously apathetic to the most part. Again, they're so focused on, just what's in it for here and now. They want to catch more fish for me. They're not concerned about their children's grandchildren, what your grandchildren are going to have 100 years from now. So we have this combination of apathy and greed and denial of reality and selfishness to a large extent. So in order for this to change, in order for us to change and have a future in this sport where your grandchildren's children can enjoy bass fishing, we have got to have a complete paradigm shift. We have got to move away from this pro-growth policy at all cost and say, look, guys, we have got to save something. We can't continually pave over everything out there, and we can't continually rip off every freaking hillside to put a $2 million weekend home from some out-of-state dude that comes to Table Rock Lake. We have got to leave something. We have got to shift into the protection mode of this sport, or we're not going to have it. And a lot of people don't want to hear that. A lot of people, I hear it all the time. A lot of people they're so disconnected from the reality of that situation that they're almost offended to hear something like that. But I think about it a lot, man. I love the sport and I want to see it go on, but it's not going to go on at the current state that we're at. We're not, because people just are in denial of reality. It's the same deal like I talked about this big 160 acre, deer field next to my house over here that a developer is going to put 200 houses in. They just steamrolled right past any opposition. There was, any opposition was just squashed, by the rules and laws that we have in our society with these pro-growth policies without any awareness of what it's doing to the future sustainability of our planet. And make no mistake about it, guys, when you're talking about protecting things like that, you're not talking about it for protecting it for the sake of the hawks and the eagles out there. It's for the humans, the human species. If we don't have an environment that can sustain ourselves, and we don't have a resource base that can sustain and live within a balanced population, we're going to take ourselves out. And it's not going to be for any other reason but our own stupidity. You can't blame it to say that, that's just the way it is and there's it's all going to be okay in the big picture. It's not. The whole thing about it is it's our decision. We have the ability to do the right thing or the wrong thing as caretakers of this planet. And right now we are not doing the right thing, and it's nobody's excuses. It's no other reason than from our own greed and ignorance and apathy on these issues that I talked about. So anyway, guys, I would just encourage everybody out there to become aware of that, become aware of our actions that we take right now in the technological advancements of bass fishing, in the environmental legislations that we pass to protect our air and water. We have a choice of which road to go down. We can either destroy it and not have anything left 100 years from now, or we can live in complete balance and harmony and not let technology run the sport that we live. Because make no mistake about it, we are on that dark road right now. And it's not too late to change, but we got to kick it in gear because it's going to be here before you know it. So anyway, guys, hope you all well. Talk later.